Sit back and relax as you listen to Train Kickers podcast. I'm Dave, and along with my co-hosts Dan and Steve, we plan to take you all around the exciting world of miniature wargaming. On tonight's episode, we're going to start an introduction to Age of Darkness, or what might be better known as Warhammer 30k or the Horus Heresy. And now, on to the show. All right, gentlemen, how are you on this? It's Wednesday to be posted by Friday here. How are you guys doing today?
Doing all right.
I'm doing fine, You know how it is.
Kind of slow on the uptake because he has to be very careful with the model he's trying to glue.
Oh no, it's a large chunky resin base.
That's probably even worse. Because if
you put a sock in it, put it in a sock and kill someone.
Are you pinning the model to the base like you should be?
No. This is just the actual base. This is just the actual chunky resin base.
Wait,
I found for like $20.
Okay, so you're just literally working on the base. It has nothing to do with the model.
Yeah, no, the model's done. It's it's one of those resin bases from Forge World. Someone had an extra and they gave it to me for $20. It's the Valdor base. Someone had an extra Valdor base and he gave it to me so I could base my Emperor model on it. It's so heavy and thick. Oh, it's good now. So yeah, no, I'm good.
All right. Why don't you? We'll start with Hobbies always, and why don't we go into finding out what you've been doing more than just gluing a base together?
Well, besides gluing this fucking base together, no, I've been doing. So I finally finished my 3 Caladius that I got. So I'm really happy about that. They came out really nice. I think I showed you a picture of them.
Yes.
They came out.
Shared it on the Discord.
They came out really, really, really nice. I'm really proud of those. And the transfers came off really nice as well. So I'm overall just super proud about how those came out.
How big are they? The picture
I was surprised.
Only shows the tank, so I have a hard time.
Understanding the size. I was actually surprised by their size, because they're about the size of a Sakaran tank. I don't know if you know what a Sakaran tank. I don't know. Do you know what a Sakaran tank is?
I do.
In length, but a little shorter.
They're shorter. Yes, they're not as tall as a Land Raider, but they're definitely as long as a Land Raider. They're much more sleeker in that regard. But they're actually heavy. The engine blocks are fucking massive. So I finished those. It took me 2 days to paint them. I saw Steve. Me and Steve played a game this week with 6,000 points, and while he was deployed, I was literally finishing up the paint on the tanks.
I've done that.
I've
done that middle of the game before.
Yeah, no. He saw how crazy fast I work, so that was hilarious. I also finally got my 6 bikes from Games Workshop. Jesus Christ, it took forever. And Games Workshop still hasn't sent my Loyalist book, my Loyalist Titanicus book. It still has not been shipped. So, it's not that. I paid for it already. They sent me the wrong book, the Imperial Armor book. Then they said they already sent it. And I said, no, you didn't. Here's the email receipts of what you sent. They're like, oh, sorry, here's a new order and it's free. I was like, thank you.
Well, I mean, it should be free.
Yeah, because I paid for it.
Exactly. Item yet, yeah.
But yeah, no. So they're hopefully sending me the right item. He says with a questioning mark.
How long has it been since they told you they were going to send it?
Since the new order, only about a week.
Okay, that's not bad.
And that's about how long. Yeah, that's how long their orders are out anyway. So
yeah,
I'm not actually mad about it. Yeah,
I mean it's a shame they. But yeah, no, it's just thing. But
yeah, that's what kind of angers me a little bit. But you know what? Like I said, you can't do everything. But so that's and then what else did I do? And then I printed a metric shit. I didn't print shit. I got one of my friends to print a metric shit ton of epic custodes in epic scale, so 8mm, 6 to 8mm. They came out beautiful, like legitimately beautiful. I don't think Steve saw. I don't think he was here when I received them. So I don't think anyone has seen them actually.
I don't think so.
But yeah, no, they're beautiful, like next level. Wow. So that's gonna be my next kind of project after I finish these 6 bikes, just to kind of bang them out, put them on bases. I still need bases for them, sadly. But yeah, banging them out, see what happens there. And yeah, no, that's what I've been working on. The bike, yeah.
Maybe we'll go on to Steve because I know he actually has some stuff. I have very little, so we'll go to people who have things.
So I mean, it's been pretty light. I'm a very slow hobbyist. Unlike Dan, I'll spend 2 hours staring at a shoulder pauldron and an arm and wondering, but what if I move the arm up? And then I'll blue tack it and I'll stare at it. And I'll go take a lunch. I'll come back. We've had a little bit. I can't say I painted 3 tanks during a game, but I did get to play a game. Which
that's true.
Dan and I played a big game. What did we play in the end? 55
or 6,000.
It was
6,000. Yep.
Did a 6,000 point game of 30k, mostly fully. We'll call it fully based. The gameplay was relatively fast as we built more, but deployment, my god, I physically ran out of space down. It was
To be
great.
fair, it was the shittiest deployment. To be fair, I think we literally rolled the one deployment that sucks. Yeah, it was the long ways deployment, which is normally 24 inches up the board, but it was triangle formation. So it was
Yeah, it was 2 square feet.
24 up
Sorry, 4 square
to the middle, and then to each side edge. So it's like a triangle, long
Yep,
ways.
it was 4 square feet deployments compared to the normal pitched battle that gives you 6 square feet of normal hand. So yeah,
Yeah.
I was definitely tight on.
Okay.
It's okay because I got across the table scoring and Dan did.
Yeah, no, it was a good game. I think I won. It was like 6-5. It was a very close game. It was a fairly
It
close
was,
game.
7-5. It was
7-5,
literally a
yes.
dice roll on the D for price of beverage.
Yes, because I lost my knight. Yep. No, it was a very close game.
Good.
And aside from the game, I've been working on Warband. I printed a Titled Dwarf army.
You said 302 dwarves is what you wrote down here, at least.
There were a lot of dwarves. It was like 5 build plates on a. It was like
I love the fact that it's like, yeah, casual 100 dwarves painted, less than $50. That's so great.
Yeah.
Gotta love 3D printing.
Well, it's
Gotta
also
love
10
3D
mil.
printing.
especially in this scale because it could fit a company and plus of Marine or build.
Yes, you can. I would.
So once you get that demo, Dan, what on Epic?
Oh, I got it. Oh, absolutely. I'll
coming up.
absolutely demo Epic for you. You favorite game, literally Dan's favorite game of all time. I will 1000% demo that for you.
Now, is to play because you're doing this, more of this 10 millimeter stuff. Does he need 300 dwarves to play, or is this like options, or like how much stuff is actually needed?
He's like, I kind of like the idea of giving him a blunderbuss. Okay, I'll print him out blunderbusses. He could run a list.
Okay.
But I know that he's a dwarf at heart, so he also wants a hammer, a giant. A game is 500 points and has probably.
Okay, so
What I did with my custodians. Yeah.
extras, but not as insane amount of extras as I would have thought 300 some models were. But I guess it is a 10 millimeter thing.
20 models per base, so.
Yeah. How many models per base? Is it 5?
20. It's 5 per
It's
stand.
20 models per base?
Yeah,
Oh, 5. Oh, got it.
Models per stand and 5 stands.
Got
the skin
it.
uses
Got it.
100 mil by 50 mil square.
Okay, that makes
Okay.
sense.
All right, so
Okay.
not as crazy as maybe it sounds original.
15 bases.
Okay, I would not. I
Still
just
a lot.
It's not bad.
I would not want to paint anything in that scale. I think it would take me too long.
Okay, so as someone who
Okay.
actually has painted that scale, I was just gonna say, someone who painted that scale. Remember, I had my Iron Warrior army. It's actually not as hard as people make it out to be, because a lot of it is just you spray Zenithal and wash, or contrast it, and it comes out literally perfect. You don't really have the scale to deal with details.
I guess not,
yeah.
especially at that scale. A lot of time the models probably don't have the details where that way you can't, spend all the time trying to make it work. Because that would be my problem. I would probably sit there and be like, yeah, I don't need to do the details on this guy. He's so small, no one will see it. But I'll know. And I don't know if that would bother me too much. And therefore, I'd want to do this level of detail that is ridiculous.
It depends. Like my Custodians, the bigger tanks came out with detail. Like they came out with like some of the piping, some of the wiring. But again, you just wash that with a nice silver, and that's it. That's all you really need to do. And mine are 8 millimeter. They're not even 10 millimeter. So they're 6 to 8 millimeter scaled.
But
which is what Epic is.
There's a distinction to me
or Titanic, as I'd say,
of what you have to do versus what you could do. I would want to go a little
True.
bit more to
Okay,
what I
that makes
could do
sense.
rather than, hey, if I do this, it'll get by.
I see what
That's
you're
not
saying.
really, for better or worse, that's not how I paint or how I can paint. I can't bring myself to be like, oh yeah, that's fine. No, like physically hurts me.
I mean, the good news is when you get that many models painted, like when you see an Epic army in its full totality, especially at that scale, it does look. Like you get kind of drowned out by how amazing it looks without the detail.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense. It's hard to kind of explain because
okay, so a screen is full of lots of pixels, right? Trooper is like 4 pixels. You look at the one trooper, so what is this? Just a blob of some color. You zoom out, all of it lined up, and all of a sudden it is. So
that's
as
kinda,
I'm painting a Marine, you're painting a base of Marine.
Yeah.
Good way to put it. All right.
Anything else that you've been working on? Not that you haven't been working on enough there, Steve. That's so many dwarves.
No, it's pretty much at the shop. I've been kind of not remodeling, like reorganized or kind of hobby gaming area.
Okay.
Basic space needed a facelift, so I'm working on just getting things a little more inviting.
Mm-hmm.
The table installed, getting the hobby station set up, getting a calendar and a bulletin board to keep events and flyers and all. Nice little homely talk.
Very nice.
Basically, you're a good hire, is what I hear.
I don't know. It
You
costs
were a good
a lot
hire.
of money, and hey, I need you to get 20 linear feet of shelving. 7 shelves high. I'm definitely costing them, but it's coming out
Yeah,
nice.
exactly. Get more people in.
Yeah, and
That's the
hopefully, as numbers again, hopefully get better and stuff like that, more people start going out. I don't know, I haven't
It's rough
gone
right
anywhere.
now. It's real rough, right?
Yeah, might go out on Friday. I haven't decided. Well,
I'm actually allowed to go out on Friday to Maplewood for the first time in 2 years now.
well, you've been out, but other than that,
To Maplewood
Yes,
to
you have.
play.
you
Oh, I
you
have-
went out the
Yeah,
one week,
gee.
the 1 week that I missed. I had been going in like every Friday for like a
Okay.
month. I missed the 1 week, I think, because I was like family. I forget exactly what happened. Something happened, and that was the week you're like, "Hey guys, I'll be there shortly." I forget what. That was only like a couple months back.
That's funny.
It was a few months ago.
Oh, okay. That's
We met
funny.
up for BFG last year. It's not 2 years.
We played BFG there too. Oh,
Yes,
we did. We
We
did. Oh
did.
my god. Wow. It's what the hell, man.
You
These
had
two-
just introduced everyone to that horrible, horrible thing known as I can't even name it.
What did I do? I don't
The
even
fake
remember.
BFG.
Oh, XR.
XR's fine.
Ooh, how dare you?
All XR is the same rule set with I think it just changed what the order thing is what we figured out, right? But it added more ships. That's why I liked it because it was a little bit nicer than your people.
I
Although no one chose
do
Dark
like
Eldar
the
anyway.
extra ship. I do
Yeah,
like the extra
except
ship.
no one chose the Dark Eldar anyway, so no one cared. But it does balance the ships. But no. It was I'm going on Friday, so I'm actually kind of
Maybe I'll
happy.
go.
Actually kinda
I
happy.
gotta maybe get a chance to play some of this Legion that I've built and painted, because that was the only thing I worked on this week. I mean, work's starting up soon, so I've been trying to get ready for that, at least to some extent. But other than that, I've just been working on more Legion stuff. I think, like I said, now other than Dooku, everything is built, and probably, hopefully by early tomorrow, literally everything will be done and painted. Almost everything is done anyway at this
Nice.
point, but I think at that point,
Shit, man, that's nice. Did you see I know Josh posted on the Discord. He finished his AT-AT
No, I missed that.
terrain piece.
Oh yeah,
It's I think on was it on mini if you check on the Maplewood Discord under mini painting, I think was it mini paint? No, it wasn't. Tabletop gaming. It's like a crashed AT-AT with some trees. Actually looks really good. Looks legitimately
I'll have to
nice.
take a look at that. Yeah, it would be nice to actually use some of that, and then whenever that's done, then I can finish the very last thing I have for Cool Boys, and then I don't know. I'll figure out if there's any other projects I want to work on. I still have my stuff for A Song of Ice and Fire, but I don't know if I'm going to go back and paint that anytime soon. I think Mythicus is having a tournament in like another month something, so maybe I'll actually go and play it, but I don't know if I feel like going back and painting it. It's not for the moment. It's just trays of models, and in that game, like I like to have painted stuff. It's something I would definitely prefer, but that is not a game where like painting is like looked down on if you haven't done it. Most people, I think, who play that, broad generalization, but I think most people who play that don't tend to paint their stuff, or it's not really pushed much. Probably one because it is just most if it's not a specialized thing, most things are trays of 12 models. They're not bad looking models. The models are fine, but the level of detail and stuff like that to paint a bunch of them just isn't a very fun. So maybe it might be nice to stop painting for a while. All right.
We'll see.
I think I'll go home.
Forrest Gump, best movie.
I haven't seen that in forever. I don't plan on
I
seeing it anytime soon either, but from what I remember, it was all right. That seems like plenty of hobby things. Why don't we move on to the news? So the first thing is LVO is coming up this weekend. By the time you hear this, because I tend to release on Friday unless I get try to do it earlier, but usually on Friday. By that point, it will have started. GW will be having their big reveal Thursday night. I want to say it's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Some stuff got leaked.
Yes.
Did you see?
What is that an avatar?
Oh, it looks like, yes, it is.
Another avatar?
It is, and it's well. Because remember, the old avatar is old. Like that's from the 80s.
No, they did another
the
avatar.
New avatar.
They did a newer avatar than that.
No,
yes, they did.
No. Oh,
yes, they did. Go look it up.
I'm trying to think.
2 avatar right there.
It is a new avatar, and it's bigger too. So it's like
course
night
it's bigger.
sized.
It's got to be bigger than that super old
well,
one.
listen,
But
you
no,
have
they've
to-
done another avatar since.
It could be like 14 inches
I think you're
tall.
thinking the
going
Forge
up
World
2
one,
inches
Dave.
in
So
face.
Yeah, I think you're thinking the Forge World
maybe,
one.
but that was a
The
Forge World
the
avatar.
old one,
wasn't it?
Dave, is the old one is about the size of Gilliman.
But wasn't
right?
the old Forge World one a Forge World avatar? It wasn't like a different model people use as an avatar, was it?
No, it was the
No, it was
avatar. It was
Forge
just a
World
different.
Yeah. So I don't know. To me, I count that.
So you had Okay. Yeah, no, the Forge World Avatar was all resin. That was its new model. And it's been like that one, it's that way since 2000. The old model you're thinking of was metal, and then it got turned to fine cast, and that was the largest quote unquote model in 40k for a long time. Because it was about the size of Gilliman back in the day. And it was now it's just small. Now it's just my custodians are about the same damn size. It's stupid.
I mean, there's definitely an increase in scale across their range for sure.
Oh yeah.
Has there been other ones that have leaked? I only saw that because you posted it up.
What I've been trying to find is the Heresy Leaks.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're talking about tonight. So I wanted to see if they're and this is gonna be 2 episodes anyway. So if in between there's all of a sudden slight release of like, oh shit, they're gonna be doing Heresy, the new edition, I'm ready. My body's ready.
We know there's going to be something said about Heresy because they showed what they're going to talk about, and Heresy was one of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It better not
watch it be just a
new Praetors.
It's gonna be a Praetor. I was gonna say it's just a Praetor. It's a new Praetor. That's gonna be the meme. Oh, I can't wait.
This might be getting a little bit ahead, but how old is the
man.
rule set?
Oh my god. Oh shit.
So the game first came out in 6th edition, was forced very violently in 7th edition,
Okay.
and then it stuck at
it stayed
about
7th.
6 months into 8th edition. So at this point, it's like 3.5
So
years.
it's due.
It's basically a
book.
Yeah, it's a modified 7th edition book. It took 7th edition, took all the finicky shit out of 7th edition, and it's like they fact 7th, and that's what Heresy is. It's a fact 7th edition.
So they could go and
by me.
actually do this then. It might be about time for a new rule set.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they can. And I mean, I'm hoping that they don't do the 8th edition. A lot of people are like freaking out because I'm hoping they don't go 8th edition on it, but we don't know.
It's
We
the
don't
most
know.
divisive thing, right?
Yes.
Should Heresy
that
move
is
to the new formula or stay with the old? And there's
Yeah, it's a
reason
very
with
big
Horus
divisive.
Heresy.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll see what they do. So they've shown that leak. Again, Thursday night they're gonna reveal all the other stuff. So we'll, for next week's episode, obviously we'll talk about that. I'm gonna miss it. I know they're like simulcasting it or at some point as well, but I'm gonna miss that because I think I have a work thing I have to do at that moment.
Also, 6 a.m. 6 a.m. EST.
Oh, I thought it would. No, why? No, I thought it was 7 our time.
Yeah.
It's like midnight.
Oh, that's fine then.
Oh no, sorry, it's 1 a.m. It's 1 a.m.
No,
it's 1 a.m. our time.
Oh, okay, they're not doing it at the same time as the actual show reveal. Then it's a different time.
No, it's 1 a.m. And 6 California time. I want to say.
Oh, that's
so
fine.
PST.
I'll watch that. That's easy.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be up. I have school tomorrow. Who cares? Give the kids a quiz.
Well, that would be, but that's tomorrow night going into Friday, right?
Yeah.
It's not midnight tonight, is it?
Oh.
I don't know either. So. I thought.
See, now I gotta go check
right this moment.
Yeah, now I gotta go check. God damn.
You look well.
Abolish time zones and have one universal time.
I agree.
Oh shit.
Well, they kind of have those, and you just gotta translate it. But all right.
Yeah, hold on. Warhammer Community. Thursday the 27th, 10 p.m. PST. Friday the 28th, 6 a.m. GMT. So we're use the PST time. PST. We are how far away from 10 p.m. PST? 4 hours. 3 hours? 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so 1 o'clock in the morning. So Friday, 1 in the morning.
Okay.
Or Thursday, 10 p.m.
I can do that.
We'd be at 1 in the morning.
Easily do that.
Yeah.
Very good. I'm curious to see what they show. I want to see if they show anything I actually care about. So other. Go ahead.
Oh, they actually put up an art. Oh, sorry. Real quick. You know how we were just talking about the Avatar? I shit you not. 10 minutes ago, they just put up on Warhammer Community the old Avatar model and an article about him.
Yeah.
Fun fact: he's on a 40 mil. He's on a 40 mil base.
That I know.
Yup.
Yeah. So the new avatars
are only on 25s.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh Jesus Christ! So yeah, the new avatars. If the leak is correct, is on a either 80 mil. Oh, and there's the Forge World one. And that one's going away too. Apparently, they said they're both going away. So yeah, new avatar model. The Forge World one is like 50 millimeter, 60 millimeter. The new one's going to be on like 80. It's going to be on Mortarian's. Oh, Mortarian's like 120 or something. It's going to be on Mortarian sized.
A much bigger.
So that's pretty cool.
Well, it deserves it.
Oh yeah.
All right. Once the leaks are out, we'll discuss more of the actual
really
models, what we think of them, and everything.
Yes.
The other thing, and we've been going back and forth on this, that they've said at LVO, what they've shown so far is some of the numbers for armies. I had pulled some of them up. Some of these numbers are a little old because not all of it's in there. We're still kind of waiting for some finalizations. I don't know when it had to be finalized, but I don't think they had everything at that moment, or at least listed. Where it definitely shows the top 3 are Tyranids, Custodes, and Drukhari. And then you have, orcs, Grey Knights after that, Death Guard, very low numbers, Tau, which that makes sense. They do not have their new book by the time that LVO is here, and I think the Tau are struggling greatly, so I don't think anyone will take them. Ultramarines are very low. Salamander, so some of the Space Marine flavors are a bit low. Everyone else is pretty well represented. And then we've gone back and forth in the notes, but Dan, they're breaking it out by book. If you get a book, you are counted that way.
The Iron Hands don't have a book.
The Iron Hands have a book.
Wait,
what?
I told you that.
It's on the shelf.
Wait.
Yeah, the Iron that is by books. Those are literal books. Yeah.
Wait, okay, so pause. So I don't know this because I don't play Marines.
Founding chapters have a supplement.
Yes.
Plus Black Templar.
Thank God I play Custodians. I apologize. And you know what? Then oh my God. Then I apologize. I did not know that. That's why I was getting so angry because I'm like, why?
To Dan, to Dave, or to everyone that plays a Chaos Legion that's stuck with the generic army list,
or stuck with one wound. One wound. You mean?
Oh, you made a joke to hurt yourself.
Unlike gun drones.
Unlike gun drones. Well, no, because someone put Chaos Marine parts on a gun drone and called it a Chaos Warrior, and then he goes, "Oh, look, now I got 2 wounds." And it's just, oh my God.
Oh no.
So I think he put Corn Berserker parts on a Tau drone. He goes, "Look, guys, I'm 2 wounds now."
No, but everything there is a book. That's how they broke it down. They broke it down by books. Yeah.
I didn't. Okay. So then I will apologize because I actually didn't know that. I thought that there was the Space Marine book, which had all the chapters, and then there was Blood Angels, Space Wolves, and Dark Angels. Because that's how it always has been. Now. I haven't played Space Marines since. Oh my God, that's so. Okay, then Then what the hell's the difference?
So it's one core book, and each supplement gives like a unit, the heroes, some like stratagems and relics.
So it's the Custodians.
Not everything is Custodians.
So it's basically the difference between. No, but it's like it's the difference between shield hosts. One shield host does this; it has certain stratagems.
Hold on, there's a difference. Okay, there's 1,000 Space Marines of a chapter. There's like 10 Custodians of shield hosts.
That's such a money grabbing maneuver.
So here's the way to think about it. Most books are organized by the fact that you have these different, call it what you will. Necrons call it dynasties. You call it, these different things. But it's all the same idea that you have different groups. What they do with these, since there's probably, I'm sure part of it is because they can make money. But if we think about the non-money aspect, I'm sure part of it is, well, they have so much lore and so much to them that we want to be able to expand upon it. But it's the same idea.
Makes
if there
sense.
was tons more lore.
Okay.
I'm surprised actually to some extent they haven't done this for Tyranids, or maybe they just don't have individual things. But I'm surprised they haven't done for the other ones where, hey, we got a whole bunch of stuff. We have a whole bunch of stuff to say about it. But they do it for Space Marines because they started it before. They could break out about 4 of them. Now they can break them all out. People get them. They'll do it for Chaos one of these days. I don't know why they haven't yet.
Okay, that makes sense. It makes sense.
I would like to see it for Chaos.
But it's just, I didn't realize that. It's okay. Then that makes sense. Because then I was like, well, if you count the Space Marines, there's okay. So all right, never mind. All right, I understand.
Well, so Dan's problem with it was it puts Custodes as one of the highest represented, and I think Dan is exceptionally worried that they're going to do well, and then they're going to nerf his book.
Yes, because GW does not have a what's the word I'm looking for? Their version of nerfing, especially if it's on a television scale, like televised, cough cough, what the orcs did to Portia on Naden. They hammer it down now. Custodians do need, I think, an increase in points. I have no idea why they dropped in points in the MFM. I have no idea. And that's me playing Custodians. That's me playing Custodians saying they need a nerf. But I also know that GW's version of nerfing is like napalm in Vietnam. They do not do it in small quantities. So that's my worry. But it doesn't matter. I'm still going to play Custodians anyway. Who gives a shit? I still play Custodians. I played.
They get a little, little. Don't do that. Don't be mean.
Also,
but
I play Custodians in 8th. I mean, I play Custodians in 8th anyway, so I don't really care about balance. I'm going to play the army because it looks cool. It sounds cool.
He spent so much damn money on
it just.
He said it. He said it. He plays Custodians. He doesn't care about balance.
Yeah.
That explains everything.
I definitely understand the idea of, you just got a new boat. The last thing you want to see is something wrong with it. However, like, oh, I don't want it to be changed because you just got it and validates and all that. It would just be nicer if the books came out better to start with, where you didn't have to worry, hey, my new faction's going. Is it going to crush people? And now do I have a problem? Like, no, just make it better.
Yeah. Like I said, I should point out real quick. I know in the previous podcast I said Custodians are like definitely A tier. I'm going to revise that right now on the podcast and say no. After playing them, after talking about it a little while, Custodians are most definitely
All right,
1000%
there it is.
S tier, if not already like S plus tier. And it's not because of the units. Ironically, it has nothing to do with the units at all. It's everything to do with the strength of the stratagems and the strength of the shieldos and the katas, and they're just ridiculous amount of flexibility. They are the most flexible army in the entire game right now, and they have every toolbox available to defeat any army you
Thank
throw
you
down
for
on the
agreeing with
table.
me.
Period.
That is my take.
It took me.
I
Yeah.
I was not a fan. I mean, I liked the idea because it let me kind of dabble a little bit, but I was never a fan of when you were suddenly able to ally in essentially whoever the hell you wanted, because it was like, oh well, now you can fix your problem, you can fix what your issue is. That's part of what makes your army is they're not great at everything. If they're great at everything, if they have no problems with anything, then it's not an interesting game because you can't do that for all of them. And that's the problem I think Custodes was going towards, is that like they can, if you can handle everything, then it's just an issue of, can I find the right tweaking and the right list build to make you, to guarantee that I make this. Like it's a good thing 40k isn't a 2-list format like Song of Ice and Fire is or something like that, because otherwise the 2 Custodes.
I wish it was. Oh no. I do wish it was, but it would make Custodes a lot
That's what
worse
I'm
than
saying.
what they
Yeah.
are. And I agree
Honestly,
with you.
I think that's better for all games. I think
Yeah.
that's a lot more interesting. That's one of the things I love so much about A Song of
Yes.
Ice and Fire is the general. It is accepted. It is 2-list format. The game is designed to be a 2-list format because you bring different
100%
things.
agree.
Yeah.
1000%. 1000% agree.
Though talking about Sean Naden, he's bringing Dukari.
Yes, he is. But he already said that if he faces Custodes,
No,
it's not
I
going to
don't.
be
I
great
know.
for him.
I don't see how it does.
Custodes play very favorably to Dark Eldar, which is the meta right now. I think they're at a 70% win rate right now,
That pre their changes.
which is absolutely insane.
Yeah,
Even after the
after
nerfs, that's at post. That's post. Yeah, they're still hovering 70. So it's funny that they're still hovering that high. But yeah, Custodes are literally the answer to Dark Eldar. The problem is they're an answer to everything.
I mean, you
well.
you can tell that there's something about it just by, if you take a look at the numbers. You know, Custodes just came out. They're having current representation showing as 44. When you take a look at Gene Stealers are 14. Gene Stealer cults, I should say, are 14. Books are released at the same time, so that shows, one, it's probably easier to start Custodes than it is to start Gene Stealers. Makes sense. But also, it's the
It
perceived
totally is.
look, because
Yeah.
if people have those armies sitting around and they're like, "Oh man, this book got really amazing," they'd be bringing it because not everyone's gonna be ready to play against it. The fact that not that many people bringing it doesn't mean it's not good, but it's not on the same level.
It's I agree.
All right. So that's the LVO stuff. We will see. We'll see what happens from that, and then I think we'll do an episode once it's done to talk about how it went and some top stuff. But other things you put down about some Tau leaks. I've kept up with some of it. They actually just talked more about Kroot today. You were very excited about Kroot.
Oh my god, yes. Oh my god, yes. I've always wanted to do a stupid little Kroot army, like ever since Tau first came out, and it's never been able to be done. And now it's just like able to be done, and it's just like, oh my god, please, Lord have mercy on my soul. my wallet, the treasury cannot bear this expense.
Some of like the Krutox riders and stuff like that, or those?
Yes, actually, and the huge rumor is that there's going to be a new what's the word I'm looking for? There's going to be like a wave 2. Like a wave 2 of new models. Yeah, a new wave of models. Because they already fixed up a lot of the old models, so they're apparently going to be fixing up.
I think there has to be.
And stuff.
Just because those models that they have, I'm pretty sure they're fine cast. A lot of them, they're old. Like they can't say, "Hey, you can build this army that's all Kroot," and you can't get it. Like that's the perfect opportunity for them to come out and get some new stuff, and they absolutely could use it. They still do Vespid? Is that still a thing? I like those guys.
They still do Vespid. No, they still
they
do.
are still fine cast.
They're still fine
better than they used to be. They used to be hot. Actually, at one point they were really good because I think they had like really good AP. Like they could actually do some work, but they just
AP3.
Yeah. No, Vespid used to be good, and then 8th edition rolled around, and it was just like everything got killier, and Vespid just couldn't catch. Remember when AP1 used to be like a big thing, Necrons? Remember when that happened?
Funny if I actually am planning 5th edition.
Why?
Oh shit. Rhino Rush.
Well, it's when me and my buddy got in, and he's got an apartment, and he got a new table. Like we built it, we stained it, so we want to inaugurate the table, reliving those old days. He's got his 4th edition Black Templars. I have my 4th edition Tyranid. We both played when those were the current books in 5th edition, so that's what we're gonna do. We kind of welcome a new apartment.
Oh, that's nice, actually. That's pretty cool.
And we get horribly drunk too.
Tau look good. like the stuff they put out. I don't think I have any interest in playing them again. I did play them at one point, but I do like what they're showing, and I'm going to be curious once the book comes out to actually see what they finally do and how much people complain.
I agree.
I'll say about that. For later.
Yes, the salt will be amazing.
All right.
I am
So
100%
the
ready
big
for that
news
salt.
is chapter approved. When is that actually supposed to drop? Saturday. Okay,
Saturday.
that's what I thought.
But the big thing is that they released the Custodies officially early, although because GW is GW, they released the Codex but not the Forge World points officially. So people have like a half. That's why the LVO disallowed the MFM, even though Custodies officially got a points drop. Like literally, it's on the website. It's on it's on a PDF and everything. They can't use them because it's half there, half not. And there's a lot of problems right now. Like for example, it says Misericordias, the daggers are free, but the Sagittariums still say +3 for Misericordias. So is it free or is it not free? Right? And there's just a couple of issues like with that. But other than that, I mean, I reviewed the points, all the leaks and stuff. Overall, most people just got cheaper.
Stuff that did go up, but most they got cheaper.
Some people got fucked, like Imperial. Yeah, Imperial Guard. Poor
happened to
Imperial Guard. It's just they need a new codex. No, it's just some stuff that they used got more expensive, and some of the stuff they never used got cheaper. But it didn't make it better, which kind of sucks. Gene Stealer Cults didn't get any cheaper, which is very shocking. But yeah, no. Yeah, that's about it. Not much to say on that. I should point out, I did put this in my notes, and I do want to mention this. And I know we mentioned this in the last episode about like money grabbing GW and stuff. I do want to point out that I absolutely 1000% hate this FAQ
format.
Sorry, this book, this format. I feel like if they were to release it this way, they should have 100% released it the same way that Age of Sigmar did. I don't know if you have the Age of Sigmar book in front of you or you own one, Dave. But if you know what I'm talking about, listeners, and the Age of Sigmar one, it is the pinnacle, I think, of excellent chapter approved. Right? It's got a beautiful spine bind. It's thick pages. It's tabbed, color coded. It's got the actual rules in it. It's the golden fucking book design of it. It lays down flat. It's like, and then the new book, the 40k book, the War of Nabiscus or Nabisco cookies, something. I don't know, whatever it is. Whatever it is, Narcissist. Can't remember the hell of the name. What starts with an N?
Oh. Okay.
But yeah, that new book it's not spiral. It doesn't lay flat. It's not spiral. It doesn't have the rules in it. It's just I don't know, man. It's just feels like a money grab, and it doesn't. It's not a feel good moment.
Put out your update that everyone needs in a way people have to purchase. That's the only option. It is a money grab.
It's not. And if you're gonna make it a money grab, right? If you're gonna make it as cool as the Age of Sigmar book, you know what I mean? Like I'm looking at it right now. I plan to pull it off the shelf. It's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful. This is like literally the pinnacle of what a small rule book should look like, in my opinion. But yeah,
it's bugging the hell out of me right now. Nakmund. That's what it is. Nakmund. I was
Nakmund.
I was watching.
I knew it was something with an N.
Last night for a while. One of their things, and they kept saying that. I was like, okay, that must be the name in the new book because I just didn't know it, and it was bothering me right then because I couldn't think of the name. As you're like, oh, what's it called? Something with N. I was like, I was able to look it up. Yeah, Nakmund.
Yeah, it's something. Nakmund. Okay. But yeah. I mean, and the last piece of news, Steve, take it away.
Oh, my boy, my beautiful baby boy.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
Getting another new Titan. Woo!
The best Titan.
Direwolf. It's a good boy.
The Porker Borker. People call it the Porker Borker.
This thing is basic what the Warbringer Nemesis equivalent for a Warhound. So it's basically a Warhound Titan, but it has like lighter arm weapons. Basically has like a single Vulcan Mega Bolter between the two arms. But then it has a dope ass cannon on the back. There's two options: Volcano Cannon, same as the Reaver has, or it's got this super dope thing called a Neutron Laser.
Neutron Laser.
It gives the Warhound a very long, well, not Warhound, sorry, the Direwolf, a very long range at max range 60, short range 30, +1 to hit at short range 7. It's got bypass and draining and shock. What this is that from across the table, this thing can go, you know what? I see your Titans active and fighting, but what if I just turned it off first? Because for those who don't know, Shock is like if you do damage on a 3-up, you turn the Titan off. Or if you don't do damage on a 6, you turn bypass means you skip the shields.
Ooh.
Yeah, this
I
thing is
didn't
nuts.
realize
I want one.
some of those
I want
special
3.
rules when I saw them named. I just didn't notice what it did.
Mhm.
So you just shoot a Titan.
Yeah. And
No, Strength 7
7's
means
not
you
a
actually
joke either.
you have a chance of getting that 3-up. You won't always be stuck on the 6-up. Well,
Mhm.
that's why it's one shot, right? Okay. That's why we looked at it. I was like, oh, it's one
Yep,
shot.
one
That's not
shot.
that great. Okay, because you're not really using it to kill a Titan. You're using it to essentially use this special rule, try to shut someone down. That's
Mhm.
nasty.
Yep. So
Orker
Dan's
Borker.
drooling right now because with his
Yeah,
Legionarians.
Yes, absolutely. Because the big thing with Legio Furies was, in the first turn, if you don't move or you don't shoot, you get a reroll die, right? And the game is all about movement, and not a lot of weapons are great at long range. I mean, you have the Volcano Cannon and Quake Cannon, but those are blast weapons. So, like, if they hit, they hit. They don't, it sucks. But this is a perfect Titan to just not move, not shoot the turn one of the game, gain 2 rerolls for the rest of the game,
Yeah.
and use them on whatever. Like the perfect Titan to sit still for a turn and then pop out and do stupid shit. Literally, because let's say I don't shut down a Titan. Well, I'm going to reroll the dice. Fuck it. Like this is perfect.
If you
Literally
can
the
damage it,
perfect
a
version of what I
rerollable
need.
3-up is pretty good.
I mean, and people are, yeah, but I have to not move and shoot the first turn, but I'm not going to anyway. Like that's perfect. It's literally perfect. And people are complaining online like how it looks. Fuck those people. I love it. It's adorable. It looks like a fucking. It's so
okay.
cute.
I don't mind it. I don't
It's a
love its
bundle
look
of love.
either, but I don't mind it. I think it's fine. But I don't blame someone if they don't like the look.
Well, I was gonna. Do you know what the original looked like?
Everyone said the same thing for the Warbringer and the Warmaster, but then anyone that wasn't the design studio got to paint it, and all of a sudden, like, oh my god, this is gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, I was
That's
gonna
what
say.
I'm anticipating. The one downside is that it is
That's a huge
an all
downside.
resin model,
Oh yeah, I forgot about
which gives me concerns about the. I'm not even worried about like building it, buying it, or whatever. I'm worried about the ability to put it into because it's probably going to be
Absolutely.
an auxiliary Titan, which means it's not going to get its own mana pool, which is going to be.
It's gonna get
very
much
sad.
like the war, like your Warbringer or something like that. It's gonna get
Yeah,
put in a mana
I
pool
agree.
or two, but it's not gonna suddenly replace your Warhounds. So you're gonna be very limited with where you can put them.
That there's not even a plastic chassis to build
I-
off. It's the first, and it's
Yeah, but I think
kind, so I'm
this to
nervous.
me, honestly, this feels like the way they want to go is having Forge World do more of it. So I think Forge World is going to put it in on some mana pool. I mean, they have to.
I hope
If
so.
they don't,
But
then
I
yeah,
do.
it's very tough to even want to consider taking it.
I mean, so as someone who played Epic back in the day, I also remember how the old Direwolf looked. And I'm just really,
Why was
really
wrong with the old
happy that
Direwolf?
it doesn't look like that because the old
No.
Direwolf. Have you seen the old Direwolf? Okay, hold on.
Is that
Oh
the
boy,
Warden Knight?
no.
The Slanesh Subjugator?
Yep, that's it. That's the old Direwolf.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, that's the
Subjugator.
original Direwolf.
Yeah, see, yeah.
I'll
pull it
see if I
up.
could
I'll
find.
take
Let
a
me
look.
see. Epic 40k subjugator.
See, the only better part on the podcast
Yeah.
than when Dan does math is when Dan spells to
Here.
himself. The other part. Put it in Discord.
Yeah, it's well, it's because it's
Well, yeah,
it's
probably spelled
GW
with,
spelling.
like a
Here you go,
fucking
Dave.
X in the middle.
Just I just put the
I
Google.
saw some people do
Yeah.
this. Actually,
But yeah,
never mind that boy. Here's the thing.
don't even.
Okay, I'll explain it.
No,
One,
no, Dave.
I see one a little bit further
Dave.
down where it kind of looks more crabbish, so it reminds me even more of Mech Warrior, because I believe my word was when you look at this Direwolf, yeah, he looks like a marauder if you're trying
Marauder,
to
it's
draw
a-
from memory. If you close your eyes, you didn't remember what it looked like. I do not like the Subjugator as a Titan.
That is funny.
I think it looks stupid as a Titan. But the model itself, for what it is, I think makes a pretty cool looking, sort of like more of like a crab monster. Like, I do like the look, but it's a terrible, supposed to be from Adeptus, from the, AdMech and stuff like that, building this thing. No, they would not build that.
Well, I should point out that's
I would
also
assume it's
corrupted.
corrupted.
That's a corrupted
Would have to,
Direwolf. Yeah.
Yeah, part of this.
But the design doesn't
Yeah, no,
change
look, the one
much.
that's probably not corrupted looks
It
terrible.
was weird.
Yeah.
They also got the Quester. Yeah, the Quester's like the not. I think it's actually close to Dire. It's also not.
I don't mind the weird crab monster. I'm okay with weird crab monsters.
Yeah. No. So.
All right. That will be nice when they put it. Had they said anything of when, or is it more of just like, hey, someday you guys will get this? Okay.
Nah, some days you'll,
fine.
yeah,
We got time.
someday you'll get this.
All right. Unless there's anything else, I guess we can actually get to the main part of the show. Unless you guys have anything. All right.
I got nothing.
So, as we
Let's
said,
do it.
on this episode, we're going to do our first part of an introduction to Horus Heresy or 30k or Age of Darkness, whatever you might want to call it. I actually do not know this game. I know the basics of it and stuff like that. I've seen it and all, but I don't really know anything about it. So I am in the same shoes as anyone else who's listening to this, wondering, one, of course, we're going to talk a little about, what the game is, how it's played, how does it work, the good, the bad, all of that, why you might want to play it. But I'm going to be much that same sort of shoe. So I'm going to try as best I can to ask what questions I think someone might have if they are hearing this for the first time or learning about this game for the first time. As we said, we've already planned to release this to be 2 parts. Peel behind the curtain. The show notes are like 18 pages, and we were only on page 1. So it's at least be 2 parts. We'll see from there. But okay, so why don't we start, as I like to do, with the 30-second, 60-second elevator pitch of what is this. So maybe we'll start with Dan doing that, and then we'll have Steve do his afterwards if there's any difference. Yeah.
So I mean, 30 seconds. Okay. It's a 40k game based in the past. It's a historical war game. But the models are a little bit cooler. The size of the game is a lot bigger. And the community is honestly just a lot better than 40k. But it's just, at the end of the day, it's just, I feel, a much better system of play. And it's just better to play than 40k.
Okay.
That's my 30 seconds.
Steve, how about you?
After the long darkness, strife, humanity is re-emerging, reclaimed its ownership of the galaxy. Things looking great, then all of a sudden, there's this guy that's a little jackass called Erebus. He fucks everything up. Anyway, here's a dope game of that. No, that's the worst way I could explain the game. So basically, it's a game that looks like, except you're probably going to see a little bit more space marine. There's a little bit more of a military modeling history behind style. It's like, instead of grim dark, it's like a gritty industrial version of visual.
It's still grimdark. It's still grimdark. Istavad.
More
Yeah.
rivets, less skulls.
Agreed.
I think it's more
Yes.
like
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
gritty.
The style. Okay.
Yeah. And gameplay wise, it's like an old edition of 40k. It's 7th edition as the base, but without all the bullshit makes people say, ew, 7th edition. I never want to do that again. So I always hesitate
Formations.
to call it 7th. Yeah. 7th edition with codexes, bad. 7th edition with army lists for heresy. It is a battalion. What did you call this, battalion level gameplay, or is this more of like a company scale
Company.
gameplay?
I'd say 100 Marines. Yeah. I'd say company.
It's company scale gameplay. It lets you lean down weird avenues of list building. If you wanted to have an all Terminator, you could do that without giving up command points. You could do an all tank army. You could do all kinds of weird thematic lists within the scope of the very end of the Great Crusade and the beginning to middle of the Horus Heresy. Late Heresy, we don't quite have going on yet. Theory, that's where they're moving next.
Okay.
With
I think that was, I'll say up front, the few things I think I know about it, maybe they're all wrong. I know one thing, at least from stuff I heard in the past, is because normally in 40k, like, oh, you have this squad. This guy has this weapon. All these other guys, maybe they have bolters and all. It's a lot more of like your squad can be a squad of that special weapon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's unanimous. So you have a bolter squad.
Mhm.
You have a plasma squad. It's almost how Eldar play. I mean,
So space at this time in the lore, Space Marines, they deploy legions. They have companies, an S of assault marines and tactical marines and heavy support marines, all dropping onto. Unlike in 40k, where there's like a company is a major commit. So you get these dedicated units. You actually end up seeing similar kind of loadout with the Primaris stuff. So if you know Primaris aren't, bolter squad. Here's my plasma. Here's my this squad, my that squad. It's a lot like that.
I knew
like
that,
core units.
and I know now there's other things in Space Marines, but I know originally it was essentially, at least from what I knew or what I saw, was just space. But now I know, like, Dan had some other stuff as well.
Yeah.
At one point different.
Yeah, so that's one thing they've been working hard on. They make their books is they're trying to put ends on the fact that it's more than these conflicts. Sometimes it's not the most organic, but usually it feels right. So for the Burning of Prospero, which is technically a pre-heresy. Technically, you think of it, oh, that's 1,000 custodian. There's I think what was that one Forge World? There were Mechanicum units on both sides, but mainly on the Thousand
Both
Suns
sides. Yep.
side. There was Imperial Army regiments deployed on both sides. So there was one that was at Prospero rearming, getting ready to go out on a little trip. Not Lehman Rush shows up with his forces, and they have attached. There's even Sons of Horus attached. Like everybody shows up to every battle in some capacity. The one thing that there isn't explicitly, because they've all been purged, but there are some really nicely done fan rules out for Eldar, Necrons, and if you play
Are
those
those
are
fan rules reasonably well accepted?
It's about a
Depends on who you
50
talk to.
Alright.
Yeah, depends on who you talk to.
All right, why don't we? I guess we'll
more or
Okay.
less.
Because mostly.
I guess maybe we'll start at the beginning
Yeah.
with what you have here, which is sort of because you're starting with the why to play this. And like I said, I'm gonna let you guys take most of it. I'll ask questions as I think of them, especially I said as related to people who knew nothing about this.
All right. Go ahead, Steve.
The Horus Heresy, the books has gotten incredibly. So there are tons of
Yeah.
stories, moments. You like, oh, I really like this book. I want to make an army for that book. You can do things. My favorite, I've read that. If it's not going to be False Gods, then that's the one that follows the Iron Warrior and a little bit of the Emperor's Children that Fulgrim is coming for. Perturabo's the best, obvious. He's actually very well written.
All the pre-marks, I think, are pretty good. I will admit that the authors usually 90% of the time they're pretty damn well written out.
Just don't let.
Yes, don't touch it.
But yeah, so you could make armies, try to recreate things in the books. The books are more character focused, characters as much. You can still be like, oh yeah, I want to do this fun. So it's a cool setting with lots of resources.
I mean, including the setting. I mean, the weapons are also insane too. This is Horus Heresy, not 40k. So a lot of the weapons that either stopped being made in 40k are there. It's like for example, Volkite, everyone's favorite gun. Volkite in 40k right now is actually meta, which is actually hilarious. But Volkite in 40k is, you do a 6-2 wound, you do a mortal wound. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Like, I'm sorry, it's not exciting. It's just plain old not exciting, right? In 30k, a Volkite acts as follows. If there's an unsaved wound in the squad, for every unsaved wound, you immediately roll another wound. Right? It's not a mortal wound. It's just you hit that person with a microwave gun, essentially?
Yeah, it's the death rays from Mars attacks, basically.
Yeah, so they hit you with such microwaveness that you literally explode to the point where you pop, where you can injure people around you. That's the level of kind of cool stuff. There's also grav weapons in abundance, and it's actually kind of cool. I think we talk about this a little bit later, but not every army has access. Like in 40k, Space Marines have storm shields, Space Marines have plasma guns. Not every army has access to the same level of gear. Like when people are like, "Oh, I want to run storm shields," there are only 2 legios with that: Salamanders and Imperial Fists. And who else?
That's it, Imperial Fist, Salamander, and
yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, okay, you got them too. But those are very specific. Yeah, but that's it. There's no one else carries storm shields. You want to take plasma in abundance? Well, you take Dark Angels. Dark Angels have something that don't even exist in 40k: the plasma repeaters, which is quite literally a plasma machine gun, which is awesome. It's an Uzi plasma gun. I love it. But there's just the setting is. I know Steve was talking about the setting is just crazy. It is a really cool setting.
To the setting, communities around the game are focused narrative. You could make a dick stomping list. You'll also never get a game again way across the country because if you're a dick, people find out like, oh, you're that guy that had that army. Now I will say sometimes I bring some stuff that's a little gross, but then I also make that I'm not playing. Like I'll take disgusting wounds on a 3, ignores saves a 3 or worse gun. Then I'll throw it as 2 up save unit. Like it's a game that can be a little bit self moderation.
It's so it took me a while to explain this. Yeah, it took me a while to kind of explain this in a proper way because it's very hard. The community, I think, is in a very perfect spot. We're not small enough to be unheard of, like some games, right? Where it might be hard to find a game. However, we're also not big enough, like 40k, where you have people trying to play competitively. It is literally the perfect size of big enough to find a game, but small enough that if you are that type of person that is unplayable or you don't like you're an asshole. I'm just gonna be nice. You're an asshole. You will be known in the 3 states nearby, right? And this has happened. This has actually happened where someone is like an absolute asshole, and they give them like 1 or 2 chances, 3 chances at most. And eventually at an event, they'll just be not invited, and then you just never get a game. So it's a gentleman's game, if that makes any sense. I'm making it sound kind of gatekeepy. I don't mean to make it sound gatekeepy. It's not. It I don't know if it is sounding gatekeepy, but it's very much like
I think that's not necessarily a bad thing,
It's
or
positive
self modelation,
there is
monitoring.
positive game.
yeah.
Moderation.
That's what it is. It's self. Yeah. It's not. It's less gatekeeping. It's more of It's more moderation. You know. And it's like it's weird because the game doesn't play to that competitive level either. I'll talk about this much later, but just to spoil it a little bit, every army can take a jank unit. Every legion has that one unit that is super janky. But if you're gonna take it, tell the other opponent, and they can bring their jank unit. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can face jank against jank very easily. Just talk with your opponent. It's a very talkative game, very community. Like when Steve came over and we were figuring out our points, I sat there like, Steve, whatever you want to do, 6,000, 5,000, whatever, figure it out. Let me know. It's a very communicative game.
It's one of those games where you play it and you make friends by the end of it because
Yes,
you're cooperating on figuring out like what would be the best experience. At least
absolutely.
that's like everyone that I've played with in this area. Like that's the way we do it. It's like, hey, I'm bringing this. Is that okay? If not, I could sub it out for something else. Like, and I'll be like, nah,
Mhm.
that's okay. I'll just make sure I have a squad of this. And they're like, okay, cool, sounds good. Yeah, we could get into that a little.
No, yeah, that's we talk about it later. That's the funny part, but it's just that's I did want to be really specific about that. That it's just the community
A
itself
gaming
is
community
like
should be
it's
friendly.
oddly
That's not a
friendly.
weird thing.
It's hard to explain,
There's no
especially coming from New Jersey.
There's
No, I
it's
know, but
no
it's
win
yeah,
incentive. You go to an event and they're not giving out prizes for wins.
yeah. Oh
They're giving
yeah.
out prizes for like best painted.
I have it right here. Hold on a second. To the 2 events I went to, I have 2 framed things that I got. I didn't even have to frame them. They framed it for me. It's on nice paper, cardstock paper. It's beautiful. I'll take a picture of it and show you on the Discord, or you can put it on the show notes. And literally, one of them is for best loyalist general, and the other one is for defender of the Imperium of Man. Right, and it's got a little blurb on it. It's got some story on it. It's so cool. I have them hanging on my wall. I didn't win first. There was no first place win. There was no nothing. It was just here's a cool little plaque. You played as a really good general. That's awesome.
And like
Anyway,
events are split like loyalist trader, right? So you're not even playing for yourself. You're playing for him in a way a lot of
yes,
times.
no sir.
So like it's not about I'm gonna go and I'm gonna like it's not that kind of crowd, and that's what's great
No,
about it.
we.
Next up, beautiful armies.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
I don't like beautiful armies painted models. They look so nice. All 20 legions have beautiful color scheme. They all have beautiful variants.
Yeah, that is true. That's one other thing that's
There's
important,
only,
since
you know,
it
we're
is
talking-
from
there's
30k.
no 20.
The
What
colors
the
are not
fuck?
the
20?
same than if you play 40k.
That's right.
No, Dark Angels are
Bro.
not green. Dark Angels are
And
black.
that's from Caliban. Calibanites had green on their armor.
Oh, did they? Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
see, that's kind
The
of cool.
ones
I
that
didn't
were hanging out with Luther
know.
and shooting at Invincible Reason. Nothing happened.
Sure. Nothing happened. There was no traitor. But no, the armies are fantastic. Like to see an army 30k versus 30k. Okay. So this is the weird part about it. And again, this goes back to kind of I'm not trying to diss 40k, but I kind of am dissing 40k. 40k is a very competitive game. The way it's built is to be competitive. You're racking points against each other, right? 30k is I'm gonna build this beautiful fucking table, make it look really nice, and then we'll play. And then you have fully painted models on it. And then I know Steve, I hate you for this. I'm gonna give you shit for this, even though I love it and I hate it. Steve, all of his tanks, every single one of his tanks can be broken down and destroyed.
It's actually
No. I processed it. That just sounds like a whole
Hold
lot
on,
of work.
Dave is processing what I just
A
said.
lot more work than I would do. Yeah,
It is,
It's not that
but
bad.
that's
Don't blue half of it. So
yeah.
for Rhinos,
And
the top hatch kind of holds everything else together.
so when something is destroyed, he just literally breaks apart his Rhino. It's now a wreck because it stays on the table unless it's a crater. And it's just that's the level of kind of
Visually
beauty it is.
satisfying.
It's a visually satisfying game. It is a visual it's what you want to see in a miniature war game. And again, it just looks right. You know, you have infantry supported by tanks, supported by walkers, supported by flying elements. You know, I'm not spamming. Oh God, I was looking at an LVO list. Talking about the LVO, some guy is bringing. I shit you not.
That
What was it,
sounds like more racks than you
120
can get.
racks or some bullshit? Like, yeah, like or whatever. It's some bullshit nonsense. Like definitely above the normal limit of racks. And I'm like looking at that, like, but why?
Great
Like,
example.
why?
Custodian army
Why?
under 8th edition codexes were like 7 dreadnoughts and 8, and that
Yep.
was considered
Yeah.
an
Stupid.
army. It's nothing like an
Stupid.
army. That looks like you took
Nothing.
one model 7 times and called it a day. That's not how 30k
Yeah.
armies
No.
work out. Even if you do a Terminator army, it still looks like a properly rounded out army. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Yes.
You set it up,
It's
it just looks right.
and then with the table also, it's just again, it's a non. It just looks good. It's hard to explain almost a little bit. It's hard to explain without like showing it. I know the podcast doesn't have video, but it's a good looking game. And and it's funny because people are like, oh man, I gotta have a painted army. Then I'm already turned off, right? Because I know Dave, like you paint very slow, right? You know, you how am I gonna paint 100? Well, how are you gonna paint 100? How long does it take to pick 100 Space Marine models for a 3,000 point game, right? That's gonna take me forever. I don't want to play 30k. The cool thing is like many events are multi-tiered, so everyone's like, oh, I gotta have 3,000 points to play. I mean, technically, yeah, if you want to play the normal games, but there's also Zone Mortalis, which is 500 points, which is
I love it.
very small. How much is a 20-man tax squad with no upgrades?
20
Like 200,
5?
200, 275? So
Yeah.
take 20 Space Marines. That's already more than half of 500 points. You know what I mean? It's a great multi-tiered game as well. Hell, I was gonna say I did a double. I did a double in PAX. I brought 1,000 points. My Salamander friend, so he's a Space Marine Legion, had what 10 Fire Drakes, no 20 Fire Drakes, 2 Dreadnoughts. Well, no, he didn't. No, here's the fun part.
A
He
lot
didn't
of
take Land
fire.
Raiders. Yeah, but he didn't take Land
Wait,
Raiders. He walked them up the
what?
board.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Now that's some
because he didn't want
self-moderation.
he didn't want to be that asshole. And he had a whole fluff for his army. They were survivors from Istavan. All of their vehicles are pretty much destroyed. So they walk up the board. But that's the thing. That's the game. That's the community. He literally self-nerfed himself by not taking Spartans.
To me, at least from everything I've
That's
seen,
amazing.
it is a sort of, if you are going to play, your stuff is painted. Like that seems like a hard and fast rule,
That's
all over.
yeah, it's a kind of rule of thumb.
Yeah. Well, I
That's
know
Yeah.
at least
good
for your event at
expectation.
PAX, it was painting required.
It is a general expectation.
I have had half finished.
But again, it is painting required. But if you say, hey, listen, I only have 500 points painted, so because someone will bring in a 500 point army and play with you. That's just how it is.
Now,
No one's going to be like, well, sorry, you don't mean the limit.
Do you think,
Fuck
at least
off.
from my
Like-
my hearing of this,
Yeah,
I
yet to
don't
meet someone like
see a
that.
reason that 40k
Yeah.
couldn't do this to some extent. I think some of the reason why they don't do it is just because it's, the community is big enough, and therefore, like, oh, if these people won't play, you can go find games somewhere else. Like, there's nothing here that sounds to me like it couldn't also be said about 40k. I just think maybe it's not said because it's a smaller community, and so since people have decided, hey, no, we're going to be friendly about this. If you're not friendly, then you're out. But it could be
that's what
just
it
as
is.
competitive.
But again, it's a conversation. If me and Steve on Saturday wanted to have a competitive game, I'd say like, hey, Steve, bring competitive shit. Bring your Medusas. We're having a competitive, 30k game. Bring as much jank as you can. But it's a conversation.
What I will say though, to me, tournaments aside, in 40k, if you're playing for fun with friends, even if you want to play reasonably competitive, you should be having that conversation stuff. Yeah.
Yes. But again, it's a little harder because you have stratagems.
Yeah.
It feels
You
like
have the game inherently.
Agreed.
Is the competitive.
Yeah, the default of 40k is competitive because you're racking up points against each other.
And
You're
psychologically, they
Yeah.
gear you towards it because they're constantly $35 a pop with your updated newly built.
Yeah.
They plan for 40k to at least try to be.
it's almost like it's like Overwatch almost. Like, it's got a constant update. But yeah. Well, hold on. And speaking of looking right, I do want to point out, although it's the next thing we're talking about, I do want to make this point out because it kind of links up. I don't know why it's separate in my notes, but I do want. It's super cinematic. Like the armies look good, but the actual play is also completely cinematic as well. I mean, I use Steve as an example because he goes the extra mile and models his tanks to break apart. But the actual gameplay is more cinematic as well. So like again, so 40k. Okay, let me give you this 40k. My secondary, I have to hold one objective, hold two objectives, hold more objectives, right? I don't see that being cinematic. I see that as, tower defense or like King of the Hill, right? That's not cinematic to me. Versus my character is going to challenge your character to one-on-one combat until we die. And if you refuse my combat, I get to choose who in your squad cowers like a coward inside the squad. You know what I mean? Or
I'll
like,
accept your challenge. He could take on your
yeah,
captain, no problem.
exactly.
My
Like,
captain is affair. You're too low for him.
yeah, like it's so like, or blasts. I miss blasts. I know it caused a lot of problems, and here's the fun part. It caused a lot of problems in tournaments because people would argue but that's again the problem with tournaments. No, I've yet to fucking see someone argue about blast. Even when I was playing Steve was like, it hits 2, and I'm like, nah, Steve, I think you hit 3 people. Listen, you just position the blast a little bit more like this. Boom, you got 3 people, Steve. You know what I mean? Like, it that's cinematic to me. You know what I mean? Like the laying down this fucking, what's the blast? 5.5 inches in diameter.
You see the explosion, and you see
And
where
it's a
deviates to,
visual
like
representation.
in 4K.
Yeah,
It's like, I hit D. Whoa! Here's like, whoa! I hit this
a
spot.
flamer,
That
a
unit.
flamer hits D6 dudes. Oh, okay.
It's a squad of
Versus
one.
this,
What do you mean?
yeah. Versus like a flamer template that goes whoosh.
Sounds
I
to
don't know. It's
me,
just
at least to some
it's just a
extent,
cinematic
is
game.
maybe part of what you like about it is that it's based on one of the older rule sets of 40k, where you had that potential extra cinematic
Yes.
Definitely.
And it's a fixed version of it
formations.
because seventh edition did have its problems, like detachments. No, formations. Formations was what it's called. Like formations. Formations were, yeah. Everyone. This does not have. I'm not going to say it doesn't have formations because Rights of War is
Yeah.
kind of like, but it's not as
Rights
like,
of War will give you 3 rhinos entire army.
I know, yeah, exactly. That we'll talk about Rights of War in a little bit. Not a little bit. That's probably the second episode. But the point I'm trying to make is it does have. I compared it to Titanicus. It's the idea of you have your different legios, right? And your different maniples, but it's not like,
without the
I don't know.
extra. So would you say
It's 7th edition
more
without the
the
stupid.
way 7th started
That's
as opposed
the best
to the
way
way
to put it.
7th finished?
7th edition without the stupid.
It's better than 7th started. 7th started with
Yes, yeah. 7th did start with problems.
7th had some psychic powers that were
Invisibility.
and
It was
it
psychic
had
power.
old detachments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both of those things
They had,
taken away from him.
yes.
Okay.
There is no invisibility in Heresy, which was bullshit.
All right. So does that cover your why?
Absolute
Is that still
bullshit.
part of your why to play?
I do want to talk about. Let me see here. Let me see. Okay, so I did mention this 5 seconds ago.
Lots of legions. They all.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about this because I don't play Space Marine Legion, so I'll let Steve talk about this one.
So the short version is all 18 legions have rules. They all do their own distinct thing. They all have play styles they lean towards, but they don't lock you. Well, that's a lie. Some of them do. Iron Hands cannot do fast, and they can be fast, but they can't do a fast. They're limited for how many fast attacks. They inverse for White Scars if he supports. But like as a general rule,
Okay.
you can do pretty much any army with any. But some are like naturally a bit more adept at it, but it's not enough of a difference that you feel like you're wasting your time building towards a play style with like I'm not gonna go, oh, I play Iron. I guess I'm just not gonna field any psychers. That's the point. I could if I really wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm an Iron. But if I really wanted to, I could have
Okay.
library and not feel. I could do a
Here's
Lancer, like things like.
And you could take, I mean, we mentioned Rights of War. You could technically specify what type of war. So you could take no right of war. Who gives a shit, right? You could take a right of war, which I did mention is like formations, but not really. Where rights of war severely limit what you can take. Like, okay, so many years ago, I used to play White
Think of it
Scars.
as War
good way to put it.
Machine.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. A War Machine theme list or an Army of Renown for 40k.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's what it is. Oh yeah, so like for example, I used to play White Scars many years ago, and I know this right of war changed because I had to look it up. But back in the day, it didn't change much. It changed the rules. Back in the day, White Scars had a right of war, if you wanted to play like the White Scar Army, the bikes and all, you could not take walkers, you could not take infantry on foot, and if you did, they had to be in transports. You could not take your warlord had to be on a jet bike or a bike, right? So it was very specific on what you could take. And I think you couldn't even take heavy support. It was basically the jet bike army, the bike and jet bike army. Now you might be saying, "Oh my God, that's really limiting. Where's my anti-air? Where's my anti?" Well, you could take anti-tank because bikes can take it. Where's my anti-air? Where's my melee units? I'm just basically a fast unit for objectives. Basically playing Eldar, Samhain,
Samhain, actually, I believe.
Samhain. Okay, you knew where I was going, right? What am I going to do? And Samhain. Okay. But the cool thing is, you've now just unlocked that everyone can hit and run, right? So if someone charges you and they don't kill you, you can flee from that combat. If you don't flee, normally by leadership, or you're basically the White Scars of the fluff. You direct the battle. You get to it. You get flank. They get bonuses to flanking, and they get bonuses to if you move the full distance, so on and so forth. And you have to move it in a straight line. It's not like, oh my God, this was old 40k. I'm gonna go around in a circle for 12 inches and I get my full bonus, right? No, it's literally from start point to end point. Did you move 12 inches? Good job. You get a bonus, right? Because you're going fast. That's the kind of right of war that it is. You get severely limited, but you also unlock bonuses.
Yeah, basically, Rights of War are ways to unlock specific types of armies that deviate from normal. They're really cool. Only screens have that mechanic though. There are other armies. They're Imperial Militia and is basic. If you could think of an army, you could probably almost, unless it pretty much everything. You could make your entire army abhuman. You could bring back your beastmen from fantasy, drop those.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Actually, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's pretty fucking cool.
Entire army to have toughness 4 and either +1 attack or +1 weapon skill or some other like stats to make your thing. You could do a squats army. You could do an army of mortal humans in power armor with bolters using that list. I don't know what that could possibly be like, but
it's just cool that you can do it.
Just a little bit less religion, 40k.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there is Mechanicum.
Yes, so Mechanicum.
Not an S. This is before they got a seat on council.
Yes, so this is very distinct. This is old school Mechanicum. This is not the proper Mechanicus in 40k. This is back when they actually had, and they got rid of eventually because half human by half cyborgs essentially. Where instead of servitors, which are completely dumbed down humans, you actually had working robots with human brains in them, like Thalax. Which were prone to warp and stuff like that, but that's different. So the Mechanicum are they don't have rights of war, but they do have 3 separate types of Mechanicum you can take. So you can take normal Mechanicum, which is Tagmata. You can take Cybernetica, which is basically you take more big. You're actually kind of forced to take more big robots. But here's the big caveat. Remember how we talk about debuffs, right, Dave? You take your big robots. None of the robots can score. At all. That's actually their special rule. They literally can never score an objective because they're that stupid. So if you're playing the game of, I have very few scoring troops, but I have these big, massive robots to protect them. And then you have Reductor, which is Reductor is the tank and artillery bombardment, but also it's like you get like really cool like repairs and stuff. They play very differently. Cybernetica, I'm not going to call it psychic powers, but you basically beat boop your robots to have certain protocols. Technomancy, that's what it is. So I can beat boop my robot to actually fire twice, which is insane. But then it doesn't fire next turn. You know what I mean? Or my personal favorite, this is my literal favorite rule. You take a leadership roll, and leadership roll -2. So if your leadership 10, it's only on an 8. If your leadership 9, it's on a 7. You can blow up your robot. I'm not actually joking. You literally overload the reactor, meaning you take a ordnance blast, you place it over the robot, over its base. The strength is the toughness of the robot, and the AP is its save. So if someone gets into combat with my Thanatar, which punches like a wet pillow, right? It's got like 2 attacks, hitting on 4s, maybe 5s. Whatever it hits, it might smush, but it's got 2 attacks. 20 people charge, it is not going anywhere. I'm going to say, you know what? Everyone underneath the blast take a strength at AP2 blast. That's really good. That's really, really good. You also have Solar Auxilia, which is
they're like the Scions.
Yes, they're the best of Scions.
They look like steampunk scuba diver, and some of them
Neat.
have those Martian death rings. They're really cool.
Yeah, they
They're
are
really
really cool.
expensive, but they're
We'll talk about
really
that
cool.
later. Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Um,
You have
and then there
technically
is
you have Legio Titanicus. I should point out you do have technically the Knight households in Legio Titanicus you could play.
knights. You can play knights. Nobody
Uh,
plays knights.
um,
And those just transfer right over. Okay, which is
yeah.
normal with you.
Um, you have Talons of the Emperor, which is everyone knows I play Custodes in the podcast, but they are almost. We'll talk about that later, but they're almost one-to-one transfer. Almost one-to-one transfer. I'm
And
feeling like
Demons of the Ruin Storm.
Demons. Oh, demons! Yes, demons, of course.
There's now demons, and they don't work like the 40k ones at all. They actually don't follow
Do
down,
not.
which is really weird. You can build your own demon.
Yeah,
I want to do a Doom demon army as
so
like a meme.
for people who are listening,
Like,
when he says build your demons, the literal thing is it gives you obviously the rules for demons, right? It gives you the stats and stuff, but there are no demon models. It's literally here is the
GW
base size
stopped
for a
doing that.
brute. Enjoy.
Yeah.
So it's very
Do
weird because
whatever
GW's it's really weird because GW is super protective about its IP. Yes, but they did it in the demons. I swear, there's an entire table where it says, "Oh, you want to take brutes? You need to put them on 50 mil bases." Here, and it's funny because they give you here are some of our products that might work as brutes, but they're not like you have to use our products. It's like here's the base size, here are the stats, and it's really again we'll talk about this later when we talk about the different armies, but they're super customizable. So some brutes might have wings, some brutes may have claws, some brutes may have teeth. So it literally will. It's super. Some might have a shooting spit attack. So you might not even use the same brute model more than once. So yeah, that's really cool. So that's that was a very quick. We'll talk about the armies later.
The last thing that I think makes this game good, that I really like about this,
Because we talked about balance already.
They don't do the stratagem. So there are no gotcha moments, which is my biggest gripe with the current 40k. You don't have to memorize your opponent's army to know whether or not something dangerous. You look at the model like that looks dangerous. And it probably there is no you charge us units. Now I get to play for 3 CP and I do this and I do that. On a 2 up I kill your entire squad. Like that doesn't happen. People like stratagem, good for them. But as of now, we'll see what happens after the new announcements on tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. It'll
stratagems in the game, which I think is a positive because stratagems are, I feel, the thing that slows 40k down a lot because you have to stop and debate. Do I want the stratagem? And there's so many stratagems to memorize. Like there's no stratagems in this game. Once you're at the table, you're just playing the game.
It's how well can you play? It's not a gotcha. But yeah, no, I agree. It's everything about this. Yeah. I mean, we talked about the balance already. Because I dare say it's not the most balanced game ever. It's definitely more balanced than 40k. I'll tell you that much. And it's weird because the balance literally lays somewhere between Titanic and 40k. Most people again take armies for fun.
Non-optimal list and still have fun.
Yeah, you could take a non-optimal list and have fun.
Non-optimal list, you're just gonna have a bad time unless you explicitly play another bad.
Okay, let me use my good friend John. I love John as well, and he's an amazing player, right? But he plays Craft World Army. He doesn't win. He can play against a non-optimal list and still lose with Eldar because they are that unbalanced right now. They are that trash. It is actually kind of depressing because he has a beautiful army. And it's literally unplayable. It's almost unplayable. Actually, not almost. It is unplayable. It just does not win, right? And the cool thing is,
finish.
Well, I was gonna say, but I should point out also for those who are like, I don't want to play a balance guy. I do want to take Jank. You could also take Jank. Have a talk with your opponent. Every army has Jank. I mentioned Mechanicum before. you can take the most retarded, the fucking most retarded Mechanicum army. It's fucking dumb as hell. But if you're going to tell me you're taking that, then fuck you. I'm taking, how many bikes did I take against you, Steve? 6? In a 6,000 point game? All right, we're playing a 3,000 point game, and you're telling me you're taking Janky Mechanicum? I'm taking 12 of those motherfucking bikes, right? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you can match the jank for jank, but you got to talk to your opponent. Don't just because the only guy, this is going to sound awful, the only gotcha in this game is, haha, I'm taking this army. You didn't know that. Prepare to die. That's your jank. But then again,
at which point you simply don't play the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Always. So reasons not to play 30k. I think it's fair to give reasons not to. So number one reason to not play 30k is to play to win. You know, like we mentioned earlier, there's no tournaments. You have narrative events. So the objective when you're playing a game is not to. Sure, you do want to win once you're at the table, but your objective showing up is never. There's always talk like, oh, this unit's not great. That unit, wow, but like, it's never like, oh yeah, I'm gonna
The Goliath.
do this dumb. Yeah, Dan always runs the stupid thing with Gladys. It's terrible. It gets immobilized every game. It's a melee only.
Fuck Its kill count is 2 plasma space marine. Mind you, this is a 250-point model. It's a contemptor with a fucking shield the size of a goddamn.
Marines.
Killed 2 fucking tactical marines. I still take it though because it looks beautiful.
The costs. The books alone, if you're not playing Space Marine, are about 112 United States buck. Marine armies are more expensive. If you're lucky enough to have an army, the army list compendium, you're looking at 162 bucks. You need 2 list books for it. And if you're not one of the lead that book, I'm so sorry, it could cost you almost 250 bucks. Just in battle strategy is fantastic. If you understand the way the game works and you know all the rules, you can skirt around stuff like by borrowing books from friends, battle scrub.
We're not sponsored by GW, so I'm going to say this outright. Just use 1d4. 1d4 is your summation to basically all the legions, and it has all the special rules on there. And then combine that with battle scribe, and you're good. Just buy the rule book and then use 1d4, and you're done.
The book quality is they are hardcover.
Oh yes! Oh my god!
They all have little bookmark. What are they called? Those ribbons. Every page has artwork, like as the.
And it's like there's a golden gloss when you close the book. There's a golden gloss on the edges of each page. No, the books are fucking beautiful. They're beautiful.
Like it doesn't have.
I don't know if you guys have said this yet.
The black books are gorgeous.
This is a Forge World only game.
No. It isn't. Which is actually what I was going to. Wait, hold on. That actually I was going to talk about. So the books are Forge World. The armies, yes and no. Now, again, there might be a new release of a new thing. We don't know, right? So that I'm going to save that offer. But every now and then, or you can still find them in shops too, they have absolutely released plastic sets for Heresy. And I think, funny enough, and they still release plastic boxes for Horus Heresy. You could still buy a 10-man box of Mark III, Mark II, Mark I armor. And they call it Relic armor for 40k, but it has the Horus Heresy symbol on it. They still have the Horus. Oh, not Mark II. Sorry.
Not Mark II. But I wish they had marked.
Oh, I know.
Okay, yes, I do remember that.
But yeah, no, you could still buy, I think it's called Betrayal of Calf?
Betrayal of Calf.
Yeah. So they absolutely, but you can still buy them in plastic. And on the Games Workshop website, they still come in plastic. And they're like 10-man boxes. So the cost,
it's not bad.
Yeah, the cost is going to be the same as a 40k army. Now, where it does increase, of course, if let's say you want resin models, then it's going to increase. But it is
completely viable all plastic army. Like my army that I played a 6,000 point game had how many resin models, Dan?
Wait, I don't think you had any. Hold on.
I had a fine cast model for my commander. I converted.
Did you have a Spartan? No, you had a Land Raider.
I had a Land Raider. I converted a Land Raider Achilles.
Is the thud gun you used resin? Not a thud gun. What is that?
Quad mortars.
Oh, quad mortars. Okay, so those are resin.
Resin unit in my.
Yeah, I don't think you had another resin. You had normal box dreadnoughts. Yeah, I don't think you had a resin model. I think just the quad guns.
Yep. That was
so you could. Okay, so point is, you could absolutely do an entirely Forge World army. So what's in Forge World, I should point out, for those who are usually the special units. So like for Salamanders, the Fire Drakes or the
Pyroclast.
Thank you, Pyroclasts.
I want Pyroclast.
I know they fucking look so beautiful. Or like Galvorback. For Word Bearers or for Iron Warriors, the Siege Tyrant Terminators. Okay, so actually, no, those are just normal. Aren't they just normal Terminators with missile launchers on the top? Because I know Brett has
with Terminators and
because Brett just bought
Well, they're not new.
So
like they're new.
Fun fact: Brett bought Cataphracti and just bought really cheap like third-party resin missile launchers and put them on top of Cataphracti army, and he's got 30 models that are those siege terminators. That's what I'm talking about. Like there are ways around it. It still will be expensive. It's as expensive as a 40k army, sometimes even more. But
you're not slave to Forge World.
Ironically, sometimes the biggest rule thing is if you want to pick up a nice rule book, that's going to be the most steepest. Yep. But again, you can always find the rule book online.
The books are also gorgeous. I will say,
yes.
I feel get more value for money out
Wait a
of
minute. Hold on a second.
my textbooks for
And
school.
now that I'm talking about it, I just want to check something real quick because I just realized something, Steve. Hold on. Horus Heresy. Hold on, because I know they started doing this with 40k, and I just want to.
Dan doesn't like searching in the background. He likes everyone to know he's searching.
No. Oh. You could just buy the. Yeah. You could just buy them electronically too.
Yeah, they have ebooks.
No, I didn't even realize that. Okay. Oh, okay. There we go.
If you are stuck buying a black book, yes, it's expensive, but they are leather-bound
Other
books,
question.
full color all the way through. I feel like I get more value for money out of college time.
It's about the right
Yeah,
price.
tell your kids, tell your parents you don't want to go to college. You want a 30.
Why not both? Okay, 30. Oh, okay. So other thing, this one. So this one, I'm going to preface this one by saying I met one person like this, but I was already warned about him. So anyway, one of the bad things about Heresy is that you may, and I say some, but I don't know. I thought, okay. You may run into like armor sticklers or like iconography purists. Okay, technically, this is a historical war game. As much people want to like yell at me for that, this is a historical war game. And so you will, you will get history. You will get people that are a little bit purist and saying that's not Mark II armor. They should be wearing Mark III because this is the time. I've yet to run into someone like that. Where you'll find a little bit more saltiness is if someone is taking their 40k army and using it as heresy. Again, I've yet to see someone do
learning
this.
the game, figuring out what you like,
Yes.
like by all means, try
Proxy.
the game with your current 40k mod. But
Yes.
if you like it, have the intention on phasing them out for something that works. Like,
yes, because
you wouldn't go to somebody playing an American Civil War and going, oh, well, I'll choose my American War of Independence. I mean, the color, they're both wearing, blue jackets and have like a rifle or a carbine. It's the same. Like the historical guys are like, nah, get the hell out of here. Like, you want to learn?
I can see the historical guys in Midwood foaming at the mouth.
I'll teach you a Civil War, and you could proxy them for a game. But if you're playing, you better get the right fucking shit if you're doing an event. Like,
it's just
Battle of the Bulge. You better have the right fucking everything.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like no one's going to yell at you for trying. It's just if you're going to go to an event, just have the right models. Don't bring Primaris Marines to a Horus Heresy event. Don't bring War Machine to a Warhammer event. You know what I mean? It's a different game.
I think that I'm not saying that you should bring those models, but that comparison I don't think is a very fair comparison because those are entirely different games. This to some extent feels to me, at least as someone on the outside looking in, it's different it's different marks of armor, so a little bit different looking models, but you're playing an older form of 40k with some other things and changed and all, but I think that's a little bit far.
But here's the thing: to counterpoint, they still sell plastic 10 squad sets of Heresy in Games Workshop because I checked it up right now and they're not out of stock. So if you want to buy you really love Mark III armor, they have it online. So it's again, you could try the game with the old stuff. It's basically
there was a barrier where it was all resin. That barrier's that barrier's
No, that's a good point because at one point I didn't realize how much they had in plastic. Now I know they did some. I remember the Battle of Calth box and all. I didn't realize how much they had in plastic because I knew before that was
even the Cataphractian Tartar Stormers are now all in plastic. That used to be only resin, not just buy a plastic box. Super easy. Blasts. I think we already.
You love them. You hate
honestly, them. I'm going to move on. Don't be a dick. Honestly,
count against yourself every time.
Yeah, it's like don't be an ass.
Be like, you know what? I don't have.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Relax, have fun, move on.
Okay. The next
one thing that's prevented me into the game. It's really dumb. This is what has prevented me from getting some random.
Yes. Yep.
I literally when I was first started, it was like, hey, this 30k thing, it's cool. It uses the older version of 40k rules. Like, and the guy's like, oh, so it's not random charges, and I'm like, it's still random. Like, oh. Never mind. I really don't want to play if I want to do it.
It's a big one for a lot of people, and I actually get infuriated by this as well. Believe it or not, because I remember back when it was 6 inches plus D6. A random charge distance is such a big thing for me. I still play because I love 30k more than 40k for many different reasons. But still, random charge distances, especially if you're like a new person coming in from Infinity or from War Machine or from fucking even Titanicus. It is a random charge distance. 2d6, you make it or you don't. You're 3 inches away, you roll a double one. Too bad, so fucking sad. You know what I mean? But it does suck.
And there is overlap for like I guess middle hammer 40k player. You would call like fourth. There is Overwatch. People don't love it. It's okay.
Yeah, it's
It's not
okay. No,
okay.
let me see
The
here.
psychic phase needs a bit of love. Dan thinks it's too strong. I think it's weak.
Ah!
Basically, the mechanic. Talk to Thousand Suns player, they'll start foaming at the mouth at how horrible the system. Basically, they try to take fantasy battles magic and put it into 40k. Didn't mesh.
We'll point out that they fixed.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
so is it like you roll a certain set number of dice
Yes.
kind of thing?
So
That's
so
what fantasy was.
it's
You
let's
get
say I'm gonna use
pool
thousands.
of warp charges, which is a random amount. It's like winds of magic from old fantasy, right?
Yep.
So you get a random amount of dice to do, and you get random powers, and they are not all created equal, and they're all equal difficult. We suck with needing to get 3 successes on your dice to cast a power, and only have 2 dice that round, and then you get no magic at all. There is
Yeah, that sounds pretty
so
bad
you can't
actually.
Now,
plan at all around the site. You can
No.
generate a shit ton of powers and hope you get the one you want somewhere in your army, but you can't guarantee that you get one you want. On the other hand, you get everything and be absolutely ridiculous and overpowered. The way psychic powers are done is not very well. I like to revert
We'll
back
say
to
it's
the 50th
better than
model.
it is. Yeah. I'll say that it's better than older psychic editions because one, it doesn't have invisibility. Because oh my god, fuck that psychic power so much, such a dumb power. It does not have invisibility. I, I don't know. It's okay. I agree. It's almost like
Most
it's,
powers are just an extra.
and it's funny because
Then there's
sometimes it's so.
levitation. Then there's like force field, and then that's it. It's either a
Yeah.
+1
So
to
here's the weird.
or
So
shooting.
Dave is gonna laugh because this is probably the worst metaphor ever. It's so bad and it's so good that it evens out in a statistical curve. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you're right. I don't like
Yeah.
that. No, it doesn't.
I knew I'm using it wrong.
I can understand what you
Yeah.
mean. Now, here's the first thought I have, Dan. Does the army you play get
Okay.
psychic powers?
No. And this is where I was going to go. So the reason I don't like psychic powers, and I don't not like psychic powers. I can deal with them. Custodians very specifically have Sisters of Silence. And funny enough, you can ally it. Oh, I should point out, any loyalist army can ally in Sisters of Silence if they want, which I always recommend. We just shut down psychic powers. So I played against a Thousand Suns player who was in packs, who took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 squads of psychers, and then he rolls a d6. So he's 12 plus d6 dice, right? Or even more, because some people are level 2. So he's getting, let's say, 12 plus 4. He's getting 16 to 17 dice a turn, right? Most psychic powers are cast 1, cast 2, with very few being cast 3. And he needs not a 4 up to cast it, but a 3 up. So let's say he wants to cast a power, he throws 3 dice on a 3 up, and it's only a cast 1. He gets 3, 3.
I got nerfed.
Yeah.
It's 4.
No, they need 3 ups. Thousand Suns if they're
They took that
specials.
away in the FAQs.
Yeah.
They took that away like 3 years ago.
Someone
4
was
up to harness the warp power.
Oh.
Yeah.
He was playing with 3 up.
People still miss that because what they did was
Oh,
they
interesting.
replaced a sentence with something else instead of
Oh.
place.
See this one? Well, the point is, it didn't affect me none because I'm Sisters of Silence, so I just bad touched his squads and they couldn't do shit.
That's exactly the problem.
but
There's an army that's built around psychic powers.
So here's the funny part. Like that's the good. If you're relying so much on psychic powers, you can build against it. But I don't know. Psychic powers, what they need to do is that they just need to kind of rework it into. Oh my god, this is where I know if a heresy player is going to stab me in the neck. I kind of like the way 40k does psychic powers, which is each squad has its own psychic power. You cast it, and they can pick its power, and and that's its power.
I could accept
that's
it's
that's
So, I don't know, to me, part of that also feels like, Dan, that you're like okay with it because like, oh, I don't have to use them, and I have something in my army that counters them. I think you would like it a lot less if you had to use it.
It depends on which legio. For example, like I was playing Salamanders, and I have Fire Drakes, which are Storm Shield, Thunderhammer, Space Marines, which again, no one else. Well, I think Imperial Fist can take it, but barely anyone else can take. Again, they have psychic powers. Oh no, they're going to become toughness 5. Doesn't matter. I still have thunder
Okay, well-
hammers. I'm gonna, touch you bad with a hammer.
We're
and
not
smash
talking
you.
about from your army.
It's
We're
it's
saying if you were
no,
we're
no, no.
saying
I
if
don't
you
play
were playing a
salamanders.
completely different army.
No, no, I don't play salamanders.
All right.
So, yeah, that's the same. Or like if I'm playing Imperial Fists, they have fists. Hell, let's say, Steve, you're playing against Thousand Suns, right? And they buff themselves to toughness 5, right?
That's okay. I'll just shoot
Exactly. What do you? Yeah, would you put a Medusa on them? Strength 10 pie plate. That tends to solve that problem real quick. So it's weird because the psychic phase can be very janky.
It's not.
But this is weird. It's also a
not
pro. It's not reliable, but it's also a pro.
The reliability is.
Well, because here's the weird thing. I like that because it also forces you to build a more balanced list.
Oh yeah, no.
You know
definitely.
what?
But
Like, would you ever take Medusas if you were playing a fully Space Marine army? No.
if you could pick
right?
your powers or have a little bit more control over what powers you have, okay, I'm okay with it being iffy
Yeah.
as to whether you can. But if you get random powers and random,
Yeah, it's
not
too much
enough.
randomness.
It's too much random.
Too much randomness. I can't think of.
So psychic phase has very mixed opinions.
Yeah, you could say armor pen's going to have mixed. I should point out. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. It is, and I go with my entire army. You go. So there is dead time on the opposite. We love Titanicus. So work in a game like this where the number of units are wildly, I guess, or something like sub.
It'd be like Apocalypse, or like Epic. It would be like Epic, where it'd be detachments.
There's a downside for people where it's like, okay, I'm gonna go take a smoke break while you move your 100 across the table, or I'm gonna go paint my 3 Caladius tanks. But yeah,
it's the 40k problem. There's no alternative activations, which we talked about before. Yeah.
The next thing, all or nothing armor penetration, which Dan's about to talk about. I don't mind the system at all.
Yes, I don't mind it. Yes, I don't know. Okay, so it's weird because people who don't like this are coming from 9th edition. So let me explain. This is old armor pen, meaning if you don't have the strength to pen a vehicle, it's not going to do anything. So the reason I like this, because people are like, oh, that sucks. I want to. How about if I don't bring anti-tank? Well, then bring anti-tank. Build a balanced list. Like I was like, I want to build an entire Gal Vorback list with 30 Gal Vorback that can't be killed and they can't be Okay, I'm gonna bring a single fucking. Yeah, I'm gonna bring what's the big guy? Leviathan? No, the big guy. Leviathan, right?
Yeah, basic.
I'm gonna bring a single Leviathan.
Don't even bring a
Leviathan. Okay, you can't.
Buck on 125 points, it'll do the same thing.
Yeah, like don't be an asshole. It forces you to build a balanced list.
That's not even what I was talking about.
I don't even know what
I was talking about was the AP. That is armor penetration. So the way Horus Heresy is if I have a 3-up armor save, AP 4, I don't care. I get a AP 3, I get no save at all. It's a black or white. Do I get a save? Which is, I think, works good when you have a game with this many models on the table because it means you're either picking up models or not picking.
I would agree. You have 100 models on the table. Stuff has to die.
6-up save, like your 6-up save, no one cares. Like it's a Terminator. Pick it up. It died. It's okay. You're not worked up over. Or I got shot with a plasma gun and I died. I'm not worked up over. So
I have to agree. It's you have 100 models.
Like that system.
Listen, you have 100 models on the table. If we started rending armor and making your 3-up into a 4-up, it would make the game a lot longer.
Thing I like about this game is stuff dies.
Yeah.
Stuff dies and it's fun. All penetration help with that and not help with a bit of both. On average, I think it helps. But yeah, it means that heavy bolters don't turn special into Space Marine, but they absolutely just the way it goes. Like we mentioned earlier, a full game requires a lot of models. Now you could do an elite army, it's like a Terminator based veteran or
a
50 model army. Let's be like a 40.
Okay, so I know you put this in the con. But it's funny that I find it as a pro as well. I'll explain it in a second, but yeah, finish your thought. Sorry.
So the reason it's in the con is because not everybody's gonna want to play a game. Not everybody wants to play a game where they look at a table and go, "Oh, I need models, typical arm, or 40 models, whatever that army's typical model can." If they're a slow painter like I am, might be like, "Ooh, that much." You could play smaller games, and I love my small games. I love my Zone Mortality, but a full,
and I was gonna say
full game, that 2,500 to 3,500 point range does have a lot of stuff.
And I mean,
dues and hours
and I was gonna say the counterpoint to that is literally like it can be a full game, but Zone Mortalis can be played. It's almost like a kill team level thing. You don't have to play with 100, 200 models. You can play with a 500 point list. So it's 20 Marines is what 275.
You already did this max.
Yeah. So 20 Marines, a leader, and maybe a dreadnought. There's a 500 point list. That's a perfectly fine Zone Mortalis list. You know what I mean? And that's what 20, 21, 22 models. That's a good starting list. You know what I mean? So a full game does require a lot of models, but you're not forced to play a full game. I did not understand your 10th note, so I'm going to let you explain that one because I had no idea what you were talking about.
Okay, right. So, I made a little note here about there's missing vehicle and Terminator. So, thing from 40k to 30k, lots of vehicle been, I guess, discovered or invented. Like obviously, storm talent. Predators don't have las cannons. So some options, the Land Raiders only have las cannon constant. There's no flame hurricane bolt.
Hurricane
So
bolters
I'm
don't
sorry,
exist.
Black Templar fans, you don't get. I know, not really. But yeah, and Terminators are also missing out on options, but they also gain a lot of options. 30k Terminator load up like chaos. So they all have combi bolters, which they could upgrade different combi weapons. So if you want to have a squad of 5 combi plasmas, note that combi weapons generally 40k, not like you could use a plasma, not quite that, but still pretty good. Arrow got a power sword, super flexible. But you are missing out on the assault cannon, the cyclone storm shield. But you get your lightning claws, power sword, auto cannon, plasma blast, and heavy flame.
If I may,
So you gain stuff,
I
you
actually,
lose stuff.
yeah, I'll say if I may, I'm gonna say this is actually a pro. Now that I've understood what you wrote, I'm gonna say this is a pro, and the only reason for that is a lot of people when they criticize 30k or when they don't know anything about 30k, and I feel like I'm surprised Dave hasn't asked this yet. Is a lot of the big criticism. It's the same criticism with Titanic. It says, why do I want to play this? It's Marine versus Marine.
I was going to say that, and you mentioned some other armies, but to me that is still a thing. And I know you're probably about to mention there's variety of weapons and all, but it sounds like there's less variety of weapons.
No, but that's so there isn't and there is. The variety comes in from the different legios. The fact that Iron Warriors can't take storm shields is not a detriment to them because they can take other things. They can take, for example, oh god, I don't know the names of them either. The modified Domitar classes. You would know this with the big hammers and
Iron Circle.
the Iron Circle. They can take Iron Circle, right? They
Like,
have their own version of a bodyguard unit that no other army can take.
what you end up with, Legion is more diverse than you have in 40k between
Yes.
you have Blood Angels to Dark Angels kind of variations where I have Sanguinary Guard, you have Deathwind, like that kind of variation, but for all the leagues.
Yeah, it's so actually, fun fact.
You have less generic.
Actually, and I was gonna say, you know how we mentioned at the beginning, Dave, about like how every 40k chapter now has a different book?
Yeah.
Right?
It's like that.
This is kind of like that. This is kind of like that. Every legion can choose from the same overall unit of roster of units, and there's a big roster. Like the roster of universal units is massive, but there are certain units and weapons that they cannot take. But they're not less for it; they're different for it. So you still have that level of variation. It's just, oh crap, I put this on the wrong leg. It's the same level of variation. It's just, how do I explain this?
Germany versus British in a World War II. Yeah, everyone has a rifle, but the Americans have the Sherman, the Germans the Tigers. So it's the same basic idea for everything.
It's all World War II. No, that's actually a really good way to put it. I like that. It's all World War II. It's all humans versus humans, but someone has a Tiger, someone has a Sherman, someone has a Thompson, someone has a Mauser Car 98. It's a very good way of putting it, actually.
All right. That makes sense. I mean, yeah, your variety comes from more of your special rules and what you are limited by rather than necessarily some of the things you get. Or like you said, I know they have some special units. Each faction has like maybe something other the factions don't get.
I was gonna say some have more than others. I should point that out. Some do have more than others. Like Salamanders only have, I think, 2 special units. No, 3 if you count special more if you count special characters. But the Dreadnought. I love that thing. But yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like it's you don't have less variety. It's so hard to because people are like, oh, it's Marines versus Marines. How exciting is that?
Even if it's Marines versus Marines, there's more variety than a 40k Marines versus because
yes. Oh, that's yes.
List everyone's running because everyone's doing their own.
That's a very so. If you look at a tournament, the LVO, and I'm going to see a Marine versus Marine game, I bet you anything they're going to have the same exact army, and it's going to be a mirror match.
Unless it's
versus true. No, but even because they. But if I take it, but
for
But here,
super
look,
chapters, then
yeah, because I was gonna say, Steve, if I played Iron Warriors and you played Iron Warriors, I bet you $5 we'd have two very different Iron Warrior squads. Because you know what I would be taking? I would be taking
we all
Pride of the Legion, Pride of the Legion, Terminator,
First
and Siege
choice.
Terminators, because I think they look sexy as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you take
Meanwhile,
box
I'm
dots.
running probably at least 6 just bolter Marines
Yeah,
because I think they're great, and then 20 chainsword Marines because they're hilarious.
yeah.
Yeah.
Same exact Iron Warrior, two completely different armies, two completely different looks, and they both play very well.
Though, to be fair, you did mention how you see 40k is much more competitive. If you're looking at LVO, you're talking about, or a big tournament, you're talking about very competitive lists. If you were playing
Very true.
Heresy at a very competitive level, I bet your list would look a lot more identical.
So I know we're getting long on the time, and we should probably get to another episode.
Yeah.
We will talk about balance. The internal balance, because all the Space Marines choose, because again, this is for like people who don't know anything about 30k. Space Marines choose 96% of their units from one book. Everyone gets the same choice, and they're all good. I don't think in the Space Marine book there's a shit choice. Because even like people always make fun of scouts, right? When was the last time you saw scouts, Dave, in a 40k army? Not even in a tournament game,
No,
just
you don't bring 'em.
scouts.
There's
You
no
don't.
reason to.
Now, Space Marine scouts don't exist in 30k. They have
I do.
what are they called? No, what are they called?
Yeah, the recon
My
squad.
God,
The recon squads.
recon
Scout
squad. Thank you, recon. They have recon squads. Yeah,
And they can take carapace
people
armor.
take them.
Yeah.
People take them because they actually are very effective in what they do. They infiltrate. They
They set up a
they have
beacon, deep strike, more reliable.
oh my God, yeah, they actually do stuff. So every unit has it's almost like, again, it's like weirdly Eldarish. Every unit has a purpose. So I dare say, if I were to go to a more competitive game, a more tournament 30k, let's say it happens, people are going to bring different things because there are different things that can what they want to do. For example, the list I put for Iron Warriors, which is all Terminators, that's a very hard nut to crack. But Steve has 60 Bolter Marines. And if I'm not mistaken, Steve, you're going to take what? What's the thing that allows you to double rapid fire? What's that stupid thing? Or the Legion, yeah. So 20 Marines will put out 80 shots. So hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s, that's a lot of armor saves for Terminators to make. And I only have 1 wound on Terminators. So I roll that 1. You know what I mean? I dare say that at a competitive level, it'll still be more balanced and more varied than a typical 40k game.
The varied, I'm not entirely sure about. I think it could be. I think the balance will definitely be helped because just overall, there's less stuff that they're attempting to balance. 40k has a problem of you have a whole faction full of Marine, which this does, and then they have a little bit of other, where 40k has tons of other. You have things that you don't want even to behave remotely like Marines, and you're trying to balance, a dozen of those with a dozen Marines and all.
Yeah.
The only as we listen, as I look through and all, the only downside I would say, and I know it was mentioned, is the community and all. I think, for a game like this, as well as any other small game, I think you really have to look at the area around you. Do people play? Can you get them to play? We work out well because, we're in, more northern part of Jersey. We're reasonably close to New York as well. We're in a very, one of the most crowded areas, honestly, in the country, population density wise. And there's a lot of stores and wargaming and all. So I don't think it's very tough to find whatever your game is. You're probably going to be able to find it. You might have to look a bit. There might not be many opponents, but you can find it. Where if you're a person, say, listening to this out in the Midwest, or, we do have some people who listen from other countries, it might be a lot harder. 40k is ubiquitous. Everywhere you go, most places people play 40k. This will be tougher depending on where you are. If you're near us and you got a good community, that's one thing. But if you're out somewhere a lot more middle of nowhere-ish, yeah, it might unfortunately be a real struggle. But let's be honest, that might be a struggle you find with a lot of the games that you want to play.
Yeah. I think we talked about this with Infinity too. I know Dex was talking about that we're blessed to live in this tri-state area where there are a lot of fucking games here. And then people live in California, same thing, you know what I mean? There's a big Infinity community here. There's also a big Heresy community in the tri-state.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, in like Texas, Arizona as well, in California, but like Texas, Arizona, Three River Loop. But yeah, no, it's if you're living like out in, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a Midwest Montana somewhere.
Yeah.
I
If
don't
you're
know, man.
anywhere that's not near a
Yeah.
metropolitan hub, I would say you might struggle a lot. You might be fine. Like this might be the game that's like played where you are. But if you are not near one of those hubs and this is not the game played where you are, you might really struggle. Do they do
Yeah.
online support for this? Not GW obviously, but is there like TTS mods and stuff like that? If someone did
Yes.
live in this
Oh
place,
yeah.
is there a
Oh yeah.
community
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that?
Well, yes, there is because I'm part of one of the discords.
Okay.
I think it's really I'm not gonna say it's the only Discord, but it's definitely like the massive one. I don't know how many members there are, but yeah, there's an actual. I'm looking right at it right now. There's a TTS channel, and people are one, two, three. Hold on. Since we started, there were like 5 or 6 people asking for games.
Okay.
So I don't know how many joined,
Yeah.
but 5 or 6 people were asking for games.
What I would definitely suggest then as
So
no, go ahead.
oh no, what were you saying?
As we're starting to try and close out, what I would definitely suggest then to someone, if this sounds interesting to them, and this I will put in the show notes. Dan doesn't realize to put pictures in the show notes. I had to create different websites or Imgur files and stuff like that to then host it. And
God, ew.
How else am I going to do it? It's on a pod app.
I thought you just put it.
I will put
that's
it
so bad.
on the YouTube channel though.
Yeah.
I will put the disc, assuming they have a permanent link. If they do, send me the link. I'll put the permanent link up because if this is of interest, if any of this sounds good to you, or if this is a game that you've wanted, maybe you listen to this because you either already play it, really like anything like that. Go in the Discord, look at what people say, look what people talk about. Try to, even if you don't feel comfortable playing a game, I'm sure a lot of these people, they won't care. You can sit in and watch them play. That we can kind of learn it. You can see how it goes and decide if it's for you. And maybe, like, I know at least for me, for a while, I've played at this point, I don't know, 100 plus games of A Song of Ice and Fire. I've played 3 in person. I mostly play online. There is a bit of a community near me with what's going on, not necessarily going out to it. I can get a lot of the playing in. I can have a lot of fun with it without even necessarily having to get that aspect. And that gives me time to build up and see what I can do. So,
I mean, I want to point out, like I said, the community is extremely nice. You go on the Discord and ask a question, you'll get like 16 replies, all of them nice. Weirdly enough, if you do have a community near you or a story near you where it's play 30k, and this is going to be a very odd thing to do, but promise me it works. Ask if someone has a loner army. Most 30k people are 30k people, and we have multiple armies. We absolutely loan out armies even during events. We will bring an entire 3,000 point army for one person to loan. Actually, at the last event, Steve, someone brought in his entire, because it was a vehicle event, it was Thanksgiving, it was really fun. Someone brought an entire tank army for someone, literally just an entire tank army, because that was the event. But that was it. He loaned an entire tank army. Like
up New York, there was a guy he loaned out. I think he had a spare 1,000 suns. I think he had like 2 spare peaceful farming solar. Like, hey, I'm doing the Prospero event. I got loner armies.
Oh, that was right. It was the Prospero. Yeah, exactly. So mad I wasn't able to go to that. Yeah, okay. It was also like 4 hours away. You crazy. Bring all the custodies. Yeah, it was like 4 hours away. No, but like it's really like it sounds weird because I know we're from New Jersey and anyone nice in New Jersey is automatically suspicious.
And that was the end of the audio track where our recording software gave us some issues. We didn't talk for much longer. We talked for maybe a couple minutes just about the idea of more elaborating on that concept that it can be tough to get a game into this depending on the area in which you live. Although if you can find it or if you want to be champion to this, that's definitely a great thing. So I just want to come back here and close out the show. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you for telling everyone about this, sharing it, leaving reviews, anything like that you do. All of that sort of stuff helps. One thing you are going to notice at this point is I'm going to also be publishing all of our episodes, not only on whatever podcast catcher that you use, but we do have a YouTube channel now, Train Kickers Podcast. I'll put a link to it in the show notes here, but I put all of the podcast episodes up there, and then we actually, hopefully soon, want to start doing some battle reports, other recordings, things on video. We might hopefully do some of this on video. Dan's at least getting himself a better mic. We're going to get him a camera as well, so we're really going to try and class up the joint. If you have any questions, suggestions, anything like that, feel free to leave it in our email, terrainkickersnj@gmail.com. Put it on the YouTube channel, put it on the videos, anything like that. Anywhere that we happen to post these, we try to post them up on Reddit and all. Other than that, on behalf of all of us, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.